Welcome back to the Plumber Show. I'm B.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Alkrissa. We're ready for number 2.
In part 1, we got to know a little bit about Dan, but now we're diving deep into the wild world of plumbing and Dan's experiences.
Get ready for some laughs, some shocking stories, and maybe even a little bit of plumbing wisdom. Alright, Dan, we've got some viral questions. Are you ready?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be, Alkrissa.
Okay, Dan, here is one for you. Do plumbers really charge by the flush?
By the flush?
No.
Is that true? That would be so expensive.
That would be expensive.
Okay, next question is, what is the most common mistake homeowners make?
I think the most common mistake is they don't call a plumber soon enough and they end up flooding their house. And that's actually happens a lot. And then they call us all frantic, like, my house is flooding. I need a plumber. and then we run there as fast as we can, and then we shut the water off. So I think the biggest thing is know where your water shutoff is in your house before you do any plumbing work whatsoever. And so that's going to be either at the street where the water meter is. That's a difficult one to shut off.
Yeah.
Usually we do a meter key. But try to find where the water shutoff is right before it goes into the house, or it should be located just inside the house.
Oh.
That's the best thing that you can do as a homeowner, of course. Know your water shutoff.
Do you know why they do that? Because I know.
Why?
They're stingy.
They're stingy. They don't want
I'm
to pay
just
the
kidding.
water bill.
Yeah, so is it true that all plumbers have a secret stash of spare washers?
Spare washers. Well, we do have a lot of washers on our truck. I mean, I am kind of a hoarder on my truck. I save any kind of washer that I possibly can because you never know what kind of situation you're going to run into. We buy packs that have all these different sizes, but anytime that I go to like a hardware store or something that has unique things like that, I'll buy the whole set because anytime that you're repairing old faucets, and we don't get into a lot of the old faucets because the town that I was working in is more newer construction, meaning the houses aren't as old as I was like in my apprenticeship in Portland, where a lot of the older houses have older faucets and things like that are not so common to get parts for.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question on that, Dan. What is this one thing that you should always bring if you are a plumber?
Always bring with you as your plumber. I would say gloves because it's a poopy job sometimes.
Because you'll never know if you have a poopy day.
You always have to bring protection, and it's like you always have to prepare. Actually, as a plumber, we do actually usually bring a separate set of clothing because oftentimes we get really dirty because we go in crawl spaces, and so crawl spaces sometimes very frequently it's gross in a crawl space, so we'll usually use a suit, but if we don't have a suit, we just go down. We always bring a spare change of clothes just in case.
Okay.
So, what's the most disgusting job you've ever had to do?
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, there's been quite a few disgusting jobs in my career, but the grossest one that I can think of that just instantly pops into my head, and it's actually like burned in my memory, was I was a service plumber in Minnesota early on in my career, just when I became a journeyman. And I went out to a service call, and it was an old farmhouse. Really nice elderly couple answered the door. It was kind of like disheveled a little bit. The property was. It wasn't too clean. I go in and I start looking, and they say my toilet's not working. And so I go to look at the toilet, and I take the lid off, and it was literally like cobwebs in there. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I need to shut the water off to the toilet because I'm going to have to do some repairs to get it to have water back on again. And they said, where's the water shut off, and where's your other bathroom? And they said, well, this is our only bathroom. And I said, well, how do you use the bathroom if this is your only toilet and it looks like it hasn't been used in a long time? And they said, well, we've been going in a bucket and then we throw it out. And then I was like, well, I just walked up the front steps, so that's kind of gross. And then they said in the wintertime, we go in a bucket and then we throw it in the basement because it's too cold outside. And the water shutoff is in the basement. And he opened the door and it was so, it was the worst smell because it had been years that they had didn't have a toilet in operation. So I literally just said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to fix it today. And I left and we never went back.
I will do the same.
Gross. I'm sure they called somebody else, but I didn't want to have to go into that mess. Too disgusting, honestly. And there's certain things in life that, it's like, if you're going to have a situation like that, you should probably clean up a little bit before you call a plumber or somebody else.
Actually, I can't imagine. And I will do the same. Not even go near that.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
And the last question on our fast talk that people are most curious about. What's the weirdest thing that you've ever found in the drain?
The weirdest thing that I ever found in a drain. There's so many things. I found lots of clothing, a person's underwear. We're still wondering how the underwear got completely down the drain and into the sewer. But I guess where there's a will, there's a way. And why would you flush your underwear down the toilet?
Because they poop on their underwear, right?
I'm guessing so, but it was at a public place. It was at a Walmart, so I guess that's probably why. Yeah,
that's what happened.
I think the drain is a good hiding place. That's why they let the weirdest things down there.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot weirder things than someone's underwear, but that was pretty weird, honestly. Pulling out someone's full set of underwear with the snake.
Do you still remember the color of the underwear?
Yeah, they were brown.
I don't want to ask a follow-up question.
I don't think it was brown by nature. I think it was just had been in there a while.
I know why it is brown, but let's not talk about it.
Now that we're finished with the Fast Talk segment, we would like to know more about you personally and what you do outside of plumbing. So let's start with our first question for this segment.
Okay, Dan, what do you enjoy doing in your free time outside of plumbing?
I'm an avid skier, so every year I've got a season pass to the mountain, and hiking, biking, watching a good show. There's a lot of good series on all the different streaming services, and I'm an avid reader as well. So enjoy my quiet space.
You're physically active because plumbers need to be physically fit, right? Because you crawl and go there.
Yeah, we have to fit in tight spaces. Whether we're under a sink and we're working on someone's plumbing, we're laying on our back and fixing something, or we're in a crawl space. Plumbers are very, very flexible for the most part. It's really part of the job, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do yoga for that?
I actually do yoga every morning. I wake up and I do meditation and yoga, and it actually works. It actually does help out a lot in crawl spaces. I'm not in that many crawl spaces these days, but I still do yoga because I enjoy the flexibility. And as a plumber, you really do have to be flexible because you are going in really tight, confined spaces for sure.
Mm-hmm. I think you need to show us your
favorite
yoga. Yeah. yoga positions, yoga room, and things like that about yoga on our next episodes.
Maybe I'll show you guys a really great yoga routine that plumbers should do to be flexible, to be able to go into crawl spaces.
I think our viewers would love to see that.
Yeah.
How about what's a hidden talent or hobby that people might be surprised to learn that you have?
A hidden talent.
Yeah.
I do sign language. No, I'm joking. Let's see. I don't know. I don't know if it's a hidden talent. I'm a fast runner.
How fast?
Pretty fast, honestly.
Really? Well, it came from you. You don't want to argue with that.
Yeah. True story.
Okay. Mm-hmm. How about your favorite way to unwind after a long day of dealing with pipes and drains?
It's pretty quiet where I live, so just being outside, taking a walk, or just being out in nature is a nice way for me to unwind. And honestly, that's walking around in the property or the trees. It's nice. It's get a nice breeze and it's quiet.
Yeah.
It's just very refreshing.
Mm-hmm. Do you have like a comfort food, comfort drink after a long, tiring day at work?
Sure. I love Starbucks coffee.
What's your Starbucks order?
My Starbucks order? Caramel macchiato probably. Is probably my favorite coffee.
How about you, Alkrissa? What's your favorite Starbucks order?
Mine is an iced Americano. How about you, Bea?
I like their matcha lattes. I'm not much of a coffee drinker these days.
I'm not a fan of matcha. I haven't tried matcha though.
Oh.
I think it tastes poopy.
Poopy! Oh no!
I think so too.
It does.
It tastes like grass.
It tastes like dirty water.
No,
Did you try it already? Yeah.
I actually have tried it. Wyatt drinks it a lot, and he's always trying to get me to drink it. And I always say, "Why don't you just drink real coffee?"
It's better for you, the matcha.
I know. Well, that's what they say. I don't know.
Yeah.
Coffee's pretty good.
I don't know. I don't even want to try it because of the color.
The same color, is it not?
Yeah, because of the color.
Huh. I don't know.
So you mentioned that you like reading books or watching movies. Could you recommend us a book, a movie, or even a podcast that you think had a significant impact on you?
Yeah. A podcast that I've watched in the past is Jim Rohn and Alan Watts. I really like those guys. They're motivational speakers. And they were around a long time ago, and I didn't actually learn about them maybe like 15 years ago. And the life lessons that they talk about on how to make your life better, how to improve not just the way that you do things, but the way that your perception is of your reality. And I think that's really awesome, because being positive, waking up with positivity is really important. And that sets the mood for the day on how you're going to go about your day. And so, the only thing that we can actually control in our life is our reaction. And so if we're positive and we think positive, then our reaction is within our control. And so even though things around us may go, awry or not be the greatest, if we're positive and keep our thoughts on positivity, then it'll be a better day than
It's very important to wake up with good intentions, right?
It is, yes.
Okay, so if you could have a dinner with any 3 people, living or dead, who would they be and why?
3 people. Albert Einstein, for one.
I guess so.
Yes, I
Me
would
and
definitely.
Alkrissa.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say.
No,
Uh,
we're just kidding. Okay, so Albert Einstein and who else are the two?
um, I would say Benjamin Franklin and George Washington.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, really awesome people.
Mhm.
According
Intelligent people.
to very intelligent people. Yeah.
Well, Einstein is above you, so you can just ask him
Dinner.
to have dinner with you. That's a cool picture, though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So looking back, what do you think is an advice that you would give to your younger self when you were first starting out plumbing?
I think it's a good question. Probably the advice that I would give is stay positive, keep strong, and things will always work out. So throughout time, we get up every day. It seems very monotonous, and so. But keeping in mind that life always constantly changes, and that situations change as well, like the seasons, and so
Mhm.
things go, and to not get tied down to the thought or the idea of what things would turn out to be, but just to let it flow naturally, kind of like organically. Things are going to
Yeah.
go the way that they're going to go either way. And so in the process, you might as well enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think that's an advice that can apply to everyone else.
I think
Mhm.
it's just a general life thing that is a positive thing to do in life. Enjoy it every day,
Yeah.
if you can.
That is a very nice words from you, Dan. So, right now, what are your goals for the future, both professionally and personally?
While I'm always trying to grow as a person, I think it's important that growth, just like life, is a necessity. So if you're not growing, you're shrinking. And
Yeah.
so always trying to push yourself, to put yourself in
Okay.
situations to always be able to have different thoughts than the same thoughts. So changing your perception by situational things, but also by mental things as well.
Mhm.
So that's by challenging your own perception of what's real or not real, so that you can push yourself further in life. As far as business goes, we are trying to grow the business into the franchise model to bring on as many people that we can, so that we can help them out, and help their families have a sustainable future, and to be able to have something that they can give, like a business, down to either their kids or their kids' kids,
Mhm.
so that eventually, we're kind of built out across the United States and Canada with the Einstein brand.
How do you think has being a plumber shaped your perspective on life?
Well, being a plumber is a very humble job, I think. So, not being so serious for me. I'm a pretty happy go lucky guy. But, you know, it helps you keep. It helps you keep focused on what's real. Like every day when we deal with situations and we have to react to how a situational thing is affecting someone else. And so when we go into someone's house, they're a lot of times having a really bad day, and that affects them negatively. And so trying to be positive, trying to help that person to understand that situations like this happen all the time, and that we're there to take care of them, and that within a short time that everything will be resolved, and this situation will go away as well. So, yeah.
I think being a plumber is a very important job. Like a lot of people make plumbing jokes, but sometimes you don't realize how important plumbers really are. So I think
Well,
that's a beautiful thing to remember.
yeah, I think that there's a lot of times where plumbers are the brunt end of a joke.
Yeah.
but nobody's laughing when their toilet stops working
Yeah.
or they have no hot water. So we're the first person they call. So and we're happy to be there for people because at the end of the day, the service industry is actually about serving people. And so I've always looked at that from my perspective is how can I be a part of the community? Well, and when we went through COVID, we were the essential service, part of the essential service team that kept working when everybody else stayed home. And so we never slowed down. In fact, we actually got busier through COVID because everybody was at home using their toilets. Yeah. And so there was lots of clogs, lots of plumbing issues. And we were the only ones, one of the only ones that would go out and fix things. Of course, we had to do the PPE, the protective clothing and so forth. And that made things a little bit harder for us. But, it was a delicate situation because we were always going into people's houses, so forth. And, not invading their space, but through that times, it was a little bit more difficult to do the standard plumbing, which is, not so suited up, I guess. But it was nice to be able to serve the community in that way. And we really got a chance to meet a lot of people because everybody was home. So
yeah,
inevitable.
Yeah, I think that what makes plumbers an essential workers during the COVID, the pandemic.
Yeah, it was definitely. We were definitely one of the essential service workers that were working. Besides the hospitals and all the other, part of the health community that was doing their part as well.
Yeah.
So you mentioned how COVID brought a lot of changes with the plumbers and how they do their work. What do you think is the biggest change that the plumbing industry will see in the next 10 years?
Well, I think this is going to go back to robots, but that's just what I think. I do think that we will have greater technology. And so using AI to diagnose things when maybe before they call a plumber and then they're like, hey, what do you think this could be? And so forth. I think we'll have greater applications for plumbing in that realm, as well as the ability to serve people more efficiently in the future. So I think that technology is really going to be a stepping stone for all the trades and how we utilize our services. And it's only going to be something that's going to help people. And I'm excited for the future and what it's going to bring. I like the thought of having robot plumbers. I actually think it's pretty cool because nobody likes digging ditches anyway.
It's going to be a robot handing you a wrench with a snap of your fingers.
Yeah, it could be a robot. It could be a robot helper that would go grab parts and things for us, or something like that. Or carry heavy water heaters downstairs so that water heaters don't, fall over and get damaged. Or things like
you can turn the valve off the poopy basement.
There you go. Or maybe they can go in the crawl and go to the crawl space. So I think that the future is going to be pretty awesome for us. I mean, back when I was just starting in the industry, it has changed so much. So here we are today, and life has gotten a lot better for plumbers as well as, I think, all service professionals in the industry.
Okay. So if you could tell everyone one thing that has nothing to do with plumbing, what would it be?
Relax. It's all going to be fine.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, that's a good advice.
True.
3, 2, 1, fight.